Good morning. This is a roads update Facebook Live Town Hall. I'm Laura Collins, digital communication specialist for the City of Bloomington. I'm here with Police Chief Diekhoff here and Adam Wason, the Director of Public Works for the city. And we have an announcement today. We are working together, coordinating efforts to help mitigate the traffic issues that are happening on West 3rd. So that's what we're talking about. We shared our press release on our website. I'll go ahead and add that to the comments below here in a moment. Please let us know any questions that you have, and we'll get to them. We'll answer them. But first, we're going to let Adam and Chief Diekhoff kind of give an overarching story of what's been happening. So,
yep.
You want to start, Adam?
I'll jump in real quick and just, we've been long hearing and have long known over the last several months and even longer that we've got traffic issues going east to west with the overpass construction as part of I-69. We've been in a lot of communication with NDOT over the months and years, but the most recent lane configuration changes on West 3rd Street in particular, the lane configuration changes on the bridges. On the bridge at West 3rd has resulted in even further backups and delays than was even previously being experienced. Anecdotally and from personal experience, we knew that as of a couple weeks ago, there was about a 10-15 minute delay during peak travel times on West 3rd. We've seen recently, folks, and have experienced recently that sometimes those delays have gotten up to about 30 minutes and even longer in the most peak times. So we want to help try to address those issues with the most recent changes. And Chief Diekhoff and myself and engineering staff have been in a lot of communication with NDOT, and I'll let Chief Diekhoff here kind of explain what some of the mitigation efforts we're going to try and experiment with over the next several days and hopefully several weeks.
So the first thing we ask is that you be patient. It's a very it's a complicated process because of the switching out of traffic lights, the construction on the road, and so trying to coordinate all of those things so that we can get a smooth flow of traffic can be difficult. So again, we ask for your patience. The intersections that we are going to focus on are on West 3rd Street. We're going to staff Franklin Drive, the northbound ramp intersection to 37 from West 3rd Street, the southbound ramp intersection from 3rd Street to 37, Gates Drive and Liberty Drive. Those lights are some of those have been replaced with new lights, some have not. So we will have officers in a couple of the intersections, so watch for that. But some of the traffic control we're going to be doing is going to be by manually operating the traffic light so that the time periods for people to go west are longer. So again, we just ask for patience. If you can avoid West 3rd Street and take alternate routes, that's the best way to avoid traffic. Going north, if you're going from downtown, going north on Walnut to the 46 bypass and taking 37, you would avoid a lot of that traffic. So that's a route to consider. But again, we just ask for your patience. Be mindful that there will be police officers in the intersections directing traffic. So just proceed through that area with caution.
If I'll jump in and just offer a couple overall schedule updates based on the most recent information we have from our partners at NDOT. Originally, the Tap Road overpass we were hopeful would be open before this weekend. Some of the rain and there's been some delays this week with some of the rain, pushing that project back about 4 or 5 days. NDOT's looking to get Tap Road, the overpass, completely open by June 1st, which will be a great help and relief to the west side traffic. So TAP should open by June 1st. We're still looking at late June for 2nd Street overpass being open with 4 lanes of travel. And then 3rd Street should have 4 lanes of travel open in late July with full completion of that overpass by August. The reason we're looking to do something now with 3rd Street and everything is, those traffic delays have gotten worse in the last week or so. We know that. But the hope here is that when TAP opens up, that'll provide some relief to second, which will provide some relief to third. As Chief Diekhoff said, some of the best things you can do right now is just avoid those intersections. If you're needing to travel towards the southwest side of Bloomington, we highly recommend Fullerton Pike as an alternate route. And as Chief Diekhoff said, whether it's the bypass on the north side or Vernal Pike is a good option as well. Anything we can do to lower the volumes of traffic on those overpasses will help everyone. So those are the suggestions. Sometimes we're having to travel, myself included, much further out of our way, but in the end it does save us some time with those delays on 2nd and 3rd Street in particular.
Now, excuse me if you've already mentioned this, because I was sort of trying to share links here with our audience. Is there a reason why it I know some people have been asking about flaggers for a while. Can you go over why maybe we're doing this now?
I'll let Mike jump in first, and then.
So this latest pilot project we're looking at doing is going to require a minimum of 5 officers, and if we covered all 3 streets that we're talking about, the resources required to do that really are just overwhelming. We don't have those types of resources to deploy. So this is a pilot project that we're trying. We're hoping, as Adam said, that relief on the other 2 roads are coming sooner rather than later, and so that's why at this point things seem to have just gotten worse. That we're trying this now.
Sure. Some of the other things that we've already suggested going a little bit more out of your way to try to save some time and avoid the traffic. One thing we've really been pushing a lot, and I used it just the other day and it saved me several minutes, but the Waze app. We don't want people on their phones while driving and such, but before your trip starts, if you use the Waze app and type the address of where you need to be, it's going to give you the best route in order to do that in an almost real-time scenario. So with the Waze app, that's a huge help and can really help folks navigate the roadways with the least traffic.
Right, and we're also doing text alerts now. So if you'd like updates on traffic, different congestions, or other things having to do with traffic, just text the word roads to 812-558-5987. And we do send out weekly updates too. We have the En-ROADS website, which we display all of our current roads projects, and those are updated weekly. And we send out a text on Monday mornings, so you have those right there on your phone, so you're ready for the week. Mike, what sort of what do emergency personnel? How do they handle the traffic? What have we been doing for them to help them?
So they know a lot of the alternate routes, and so they might take those. If it's an emergency call, we have the advantage of using lights and siren to get through traffic quicker, and people have been yielding to emergency vehicles. So we're able to get through on emergency calls by those 2 methods. So.
Right. Oh, I had to say something right now, because I've been seeing this all over Facebook in the comments, and people are talking about zipper merging and how people sort of get angry if people try to merge right there where they're kind of supposed to merge. So do you want to talk about sort of how important it is to zipper merge?
Sure, I'll take a quick crack at it and then let law enforcement jump in if they would like. But NDOT throughout the I-6 project recently on the main line, 3769, in their configurations where it's going from 2 lanes to 1, they've been suggesting for months and months that folks use the zipper merge. That works really well when it's 2 straight lanes. Like on West 3rd Street right now, it starts to narrow to the 1 lane past Kimball Drive. We do want to suggest that folks do use that to fill both lanes until the moment of merge so that we can handle the most capacity. But we also need the public to understand and be patient that that's the preferred method for when you have 2 straight lanes going to a merge of 1 lane. Where we don't suggest any type of zipper merge is on the as you approach the overpasses with the turn lanes. 2nd Street's a great example right now, where if you're headed eastbound on 2nd Street near Sam's Club, the left lane is a turn lane only. That's not where we would ever suggest the zipper merge. It's only when you have 2 through lanes that merge into 1 through lane. And so just being mindful of that, but we want it's proven that that zipper merge is able to handle more capacity and volume of vehicles than if you just get into one single lane, a mile or a half mile before the merge occurs. So
can you explain what zipper merge is?
So zipper merge is where if you've got two straight lanes going and merging into one straight through lane, that you fill both of the lanes with traffic all the way up to the merge point, and then you take turns. So alternating cars. So it's just the first car goes, then from the left lane, the next car on the right lane goes. Then it's the left lane, then
that will move traffic much smoother.
Do we have anything else the public can do to sort of help alleviate traffic concerns? So use Waze, maybe sign up for traffic alerts, use the zipper merge, don't get upset when someone's using the zipper merge, right. Try not to. Alternate routes, maybe see if you can telecommute with your job, maybe.
Yeah.
Bike share, we're going to be introducing that bike share program, and this is bike month, so you can bike to work.
Yep. All good things that folks can do. The biggest piece of advice in these heavily congested areas like 2nd and 3rd Street is simply to try to seek an alternate route, build in a little more time. This comment's not meant to go directly after INDOT or anything, but the previous agreement that the city had with the I-69 development partners, the overpasses, consecutive overpasses like 2nd and 3rd, shouldn't have had lane restrictions at the same time. We know that when INDOT took that project back over, their main goal was to meet an August of 18 completion date, and they are working ever so hard to make that happen. But that does result in having consecutive overpasses with lane restrictions. So, we get a lot of folks saying, why isn't the city doing more? This is an effort where it is a good partnership between INDOT and the city, but some of these impacts we just simply can't control, and want to make sure folks understand that. But I would absolutely say that communications with INDOT are as good as they've ever been. We're getting the information in a timely fashion. They're being responsive, and they're being helpful. We met on Chief Diekhoff and I met on site yesterday on West 3rd with project managers from INDOT to discuss exactly what we could do with these most recent major delays with the lane configuration changes on 3rd, and they were very helpful. They went out of their way to provide us good information. So just want to reiterate that. And then as we're wrapping up today, I'll be happy to give just kind of an update on some of the other construction projects throughout the city, just so folks have that info as well.
Mm-hmm. Great. And so the mayor is very concerned about this, which is why he's sort of helped to form these collaborations and get INDOT on board and that sort of thing. So we've been hearing a lot about this congestion. We know that it's been affecting people in very negative ways, and so that's why it's very important for us to address these. And I for one, I live on the west side. I'm really excited to see how these new efforts work out. So back to the Waze app. So the Waze app is sort of, you could use that as your GPS, yeah? So if you download that, you just plug in where you want to go, and then it's going to give you the best possible route with the least amount of delays, right?
Absolutely, and it'll, it's just like your Google Maps. If it's on the Bluetooth within your vehicle, it'll read the instructions out loud as you're traveling to your destination. If something occurs after you've already had a route established in Waze and they want to reroute you, it's just like Google Maps or Apple Maps, where it'll say, reroute to, whichever streets has the less traffic volume. So it is helpful in that way.
Great. Okay, so there are a couple of questions that maybe for Adam that aren't necessarily exactly about this. About sidewalks on the 3rd Street overpass. Let's see, Sarah Larson asks, according to a ruling in August 2017, bicycles are allowed on sidewalks, or bicycles allowed to ride on the 3rd Street overpass bridge sidewalks?
Sure. So part of the infrastructure that was agreed to with NDOT and very early on between the city and NDOT was that each of the overpasses would have a traditional sidewalk, 5-foot sidewalk, as well as a bike path. So 3rd Street, the bike path is going to be on the south part of the road, south part of the overpass. If you've driven that overpass recently, it's almost fully constructed. It's about a 10-foot path. So absolutely, bikes are that is where the bikes are to go on those overpasses. But so each of 2nd Street, 3rd Street, and Tap Road, and even Fullerton further to the south, will have the ability to both bike and walk across those. I noticed just this morning on my way in that the 2nd Street overpass on the south side, the sidewalk's completely open all the way to Sam's Club, which is great news for pedestrians. I can tell you, as having been part of the conversations from early on about design of this project and everything, the city has always been and continues to be fully committed to making sure pedestrian and bicycle access is given fair treatment on these overpasses as well as to the vehicles. So, side path and sidewalk on both.
Can we just go over briefly one more time why there's so much construction all at once?
This is the convergence of a lot of factors, whether it's funding or project timelines. And again, this isn't meant to be a negative comment to MDOT or anything, but I-69 is currently 2 years behind schedule. Planning for major multi-million-dollar roadway infrastructure projects is many, many years in the making. So a lot of the current projects that you're seeing within city limits that aren't associated with I-69 are the result of many years of planning with the assumption that I-69 would have been completed by now. You get frustrated when you go over one of the overpasses, get stuck in traffic there, and then reach one of the city or county's projects, and fully understand that. But, planning these projects takes years and years in advance. I'm going to cite Tappan Rockport Road for an example. Tappan Rockport Road has been in the planning stages for over a decade, with construction scheduled to start this summer. That planning was very much in place so that I-69 would be fully open, folks would be acclimated to all of the new routes and from the new construction, and then we'd come back and do Tappan Rockport. With the major delay on I-69, these projects are butting up against each other. But the county's Fullerton Pike project, many, many, many years in planning, again with the assumption that I-69 would be complete right now. I know a lot of folks are frustrated with the Country Club Drive Bridge project there by Lucky's Supermarket. That project arose in the last 18 months due to an inspection that led to an emergency need to make a full repair to that bridge. If that emergency repair wasn't scheduled and made this year, there would have had to have been major tonnage reductions, so that would have reduced the capacity of that bridge. And with TAP and Country Club being a major commercial area there, trucks that deliver to Lucky's Supermarket or to Domino's Pizza on the south side wouldn't have been able to travel that bridge without those emergency repairs. So kudos to our friends in county government, Lisa Ridge and her staff in Public Works, and the commissioners working with NDOT for community crossing grant money to do that bridge repair project. So a lot of folks have claimed there's been a lack of planning. I would argue that there's been a whole lot of planning, but the timelines of projects that we've kicked off within city limits and on the south side and with the Fullerton Pike County project were planned with the assumption that the I-69 project would be complete by now. Folks have also said, well, why haven't you delayed your projects? It's simply not that easy to delay major infrastructure projects with various funding. When you get federal funding for metropolitan planning organization projects, those timelines, you can't just say, hey, we want to wait 2 years to spend that money. In some cases, it's use it or lose it. And, Bloomington and Monroe County need infrastructure investments just like every other area. And so, making adjustments on the fly with timing is just it's not as easy as folks might think.
Right. So is this going to affect fall move-in? What's that going to be like, fall move-in in August?
Fall move-in, the I-69 and NDOT folks are saying substantial completion for the project by the end of August of 2018. Substantial completion means that 4 lanes of highway, 2 lanes in both directions, will be fully open with no lane restrictions. Substantial completion does not mean that every aspect of the project will be complete. Landscaping will be still occurring in spring of 19. Probably signage, maybe some guardrail work. So, so there could be some impacts on move-in, but the hope is, and what NDOT's been really great about doing is working with IU, whether it's athletics or for move-in day, to focus on those time periods when we know the inbound traffic on southbound 37/I-69 is heaviest, that they open up those lanes to accommodate those major IU events, and they've done a really good job of that.
Great. If you're just joining us, we're here discussing mitigating efforts to mitigate traffic. Efforts to mitigate traffic on West 3rd. I'm here with Chief Diekhoff. Adam Wason, he's the Director of Public Works. I'm the digital communication specialist for the City of Bloomington, and we are taking questions. So we're going to get some more questions here. Please, if you have questions, submit them below. Jennifer Crossley says, I would really appreciate if there were road signs warning people about road closure.
Deploying 2 of our new signboards around 2nd and 3rd Street, probably in the Rogers area, to warn people, hey, major traffic ahead, use an alternate route. But the engineering standards for maintenance of traffic does require that, and we'll make sure we focus and do that the best we can.
Thank you. And the Tap Road, what's going on there? When's that going to be completed?
The Tap Road overpass for I-69, they're hopeful it would have been done by this weekend for Memorial Day. Some of the recent weather events have caused some weather delays on that. So just this morning we received word from NDOT project managers that it would be fully open by June 1st, barring any other major weather events.
Okay, great. And I'm sorry if I missed it. Can you remind the audience who may be just tuning in, when is the construction going to be completed on West 3rd? When's it going to be completed on 2nd?
Yep. So all timelines are subject to weather. But again, Tap Road by June 1st, fully open overpass by June 1st. 2nd Street should have 4 travel lanes, 2 in each direction, fully open by 3rd or 4th week of June. 3rd Street, they just told us yesterday, would have 4 travel lanes open by mid-July. But with caveat with West 3rd, when they get those 4 lanes open, 2 lanes in each direction, there won't be north and southbound dedicated left turn lanes at that time. They'll be doing the median work over the bridge, which will reduce the left-hand turns for both north and southbound ramps, meaning that you'll have 2 lanes on the overpass in each direction, but the left lane will be a turn and a through lane, which could cause some difficulties. But that's all part of the ongoing construction on that overpass.
Okay. And have we talked about the sequencing of stoplights? And that's part of our.
I will be so. Folks, we've heard a lot from folks saying that it's the timing of the lights that are causing the issues, and to a certain extent, absolutely, yes, they are. But what the sequencing issues that we're experiencing will be relieved upon final construction with the project. A lot of the sequencing issues that are occurring are due to the fact that the equipment that's currently in the signal boxes that control the signals, it's older equipment. It's not outdated, but it's older, and it's not of a smart technology that can really communicate well from a city stoplight to a state stoplight. And that's part of why Chief Diekhoff and his crews are going to do what they're going to do with manually operating signals and using personnel to direct traffic. But I can assure you that the signal timings have been adjusted and modified as best they can given the technology that's currently in the signal boxes. What the issue often comes down to is that when you get a backup in place, the signal timing, the backup then the backup of any single lane roadway configurations, once it's backed up, the signal timing is really irrelevant at that time because the backup some of the 3rd Street signal timing, but a lot of that is outside the city's control, and then upon completion of the project, we'll have new signal equipment that will be optimized and timed by NDOT to the best that it can be.
Okay, so looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties.
Uh-oh.
Apologize if anyone can hear me right now. All right. I want to thank you guys for both being here and doing this with us. Really appreciate it. It's been a difficult time for everybody, not only for people driving around, but then trying to get the word out and keeping everybody educated on what's going on. And so I appreciate both of you being here today with us. Let's see, what other questions have we got to go over here? What about, so something came in here through can you explain the difference between 37 through Bloomington, as it once was only 2 lanes going north and south, and now the new 69, which seems to be only 2 lanes north and south?
Let's put other than a median mall. So I mean, we all know that 37 was always a 4-lane configuration, 2 north and southbound. What this project is doing is actually building up the interstate to a federal highway standard. We all know I-69 was long debated in Bloomington with pros and cons and folks on both sides of the issue, but when the state decided that I-69 was going to be built through Bloomington, it needed to be built to federal highway standards, which includes things like a median wall, includes things like the overpass build-outs that have a higher capacity for the on- and off-bound ramps. But I think the biggest thing and the biggest safety feature of what I-69 will provide compared to State Road 37 of the past is that we can all recall the times where you would make the left-hand turn across the median to travel, whether you're east or west, but those left-hand turn movements, can't happen in an interstate configuration. That's one of the biggest safety improvements, and it's building the project to federal highway interstate standards.
Okay. How are we doing with it looks locked up. Okay. Okay. Let's see. So there's someone, Teresa, saying hopefully the construction workers will be mindful of closing the turn lanes from the highway onto the street. It is really difficult on large vehicles and semis to make sharp right-hand turns on 2nd. They are having to go through Sam's a lot. It's too tight.
Yeah, the restricted conditions on it, they do pose some challenges, but we've got a couple weeks and a few months left to go with this, so just ask for everybody's patience.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything to add, Chief Diekhoff?
No, I would just
safety concerns, or
I would just ask that people be mindful of the construction workers and the police officers in the intersections directing traffic, and just be patient when you drive through there. And if you can seek alternate routes, do that. But just be mindful that there are people in the streets working and to not hit anyone.
for any frustration that any drivers experience because of the construction delays and everything else, we can assure you it's not the construction worker on the street that's made any decision on what the lane configurations are or when the project should have happened or anything like that. Those guys are out there working in all the elements, and those men and women are doing a great job to just keep this project moving. So appreciate their efforts.
Yes, thank you. Joel Barron asks, why do cones need to stay in place when no work is being performed during the weekends? And along those same lines, we had a question earlier this week about barrels. Why are there so many barrels being used? Are there restrictions and regulations on those?
Absolutely. A lot of instances, and I-6, the NDOT folks are doing the best they can to open up lanes when possible, but a lot of the reason that you can't just open lanes when work's not occurring is those road surfaces are going to be rough or uneven, or in some instances have major ditches or trenches built or dug out. So it's not just as easy as moving the cones, to open the roadways back up. In instances where they can, they've assured us they're doing the best. They're making the best effort to open lanes whenever possible. I can tell you, I live out on the west side myself, and seeing some things that have happened on 2nd Street recently. You can't just move the cones out of the way, especially with the bridge construction going on like it is. One barrel was accidentally hit this weekend, and it opened up a big gap between 2 barrels, and the next thing you know, you had 3 cars going in an area that they weren't supposed to be in unknowingly, and there was a large ditch that one of them almost drove into because of the restriction. And so it's always going to be a safety issue. Again, NDOT's assured us that they're opening up as many lanes as they can whenever possible, but with the major construction, sometimes it's not just that easy.
Well, I think that we're going to wrap it up here. If there are any questions that we weren't able to get to, we'll definitely take a look at those and get back with you soon. I hope everyone has enjoyed this and been able to get some questions answered, and we're going to hope that these efforts are going to pay off. And we just have a little patience, and this will all be over with very soon.
Grayson,
Be safe. Look out for the flaggers. Look out for the construction workers. Look out for each other.
Yep. Grace, patience, and alternative routes.
Yes. In Waze.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Chief Diekhoff.